So listen, family, the basketball purist won't want to hear this, but when you think about how we ended up with the Final Four teams that we ended up with in 2023, one of those teams got there with a very different strategy. They didn't play hardly anybody.
Turn that volume up. You know you want it. It's time for Women's Basketball TV. With former NCAA champion, WNBA champion, business mogul, and national TV personality, Fran Harris.
A'ja Wilson is a generational talent. We have no one like her in the WNBA.
Bringing you entertaining, on-point analysis.
Did LSU just win the national championship?
Tea and inside scoop on the sport you love.
NIL is going crazy. All I'm saying is if they're making $5 million as a student athlete, can't they pay for their own college? I mean, I'm just asking. It's just a question.
Let's get it.
So, this is what's crazy when you start to think about what LSU did last year, playing no one, cupcake schedule, a couple of hard hitters, played in the SEC, and then they make it to the Final Four and win the Natty, win their first national championship. And now everybody's saying, they're not playing anybody. They should not be ranked. They're not whatever. But listen, just hear me out for a second. What if that's the new strategy? What if the new strategy is play a decent schedule, get all the heavy hitters to come to your school, kill them with kindness and NIL deals, make them feel like celebrities, make them feel like they can stand on top of the world with high heel shoes on, give them all the accoutrements of what it means to be a student athlete in today's world. But don't play nobody, though. Don't play anybody that's going to really give you a hard time. And then start playing your best basketball around your tournament time, your SEC tournament time or your conference tournament time. Get into the NCAA tournament. Don't worry about how you're seeded. And then just start balling out. Then you make it to the Final Four. Like, that's a thing. I don't care what y'all say. That's a thing now. I guarantee you there's some people going, maybe I will do what the Mulkey did in 2022, 2023. Maybe I will take my chances playing a ridiculously soft schedule and then see what happens at the end. I say it's risky because a lot of things go into what happens in that NCAA room when they're picking those seeds. And if you haven't been around the game long enough, then you will not know that it's more than whether your team won all their games or not. It's who's the coach. Nobody will say that. It's how many times have they been to the tournament? It's how did they play at the beginning? It's how did they play in the conference tournament? It's who beat them. It's 23 different factors. I made up that number, but it's more than just how they beat people toward the end of the tournament, heading into the final seedings for the 64, 68 now. We change it every year. Like, it's more than that. Nobody will want to hear that, but it's more than. It's not black and white. It's not clear cut. So actually, people could say, I'm going to take a whole different approach. I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to roll the dice and see what happens if I simplify my schedule, play the style of basketball that people love to play, people love to see, give me a couple of heavy hitters, 3 or 4 of them, set them up right, get them inspired, and see what happens. That's a real thing. Say what you will, that is a real thing. Say what you will about LSU, but they've done some things right, and they've done some things well. One of the biggest skills of a coach in this decade, this time that we're in right now, is your ability to attract talent. Oh, the days of people wanting to play for coaches that kill them in practice for 4 hours. The days of, wanting to go to these schools where the coach is known to be just vicious, but, they get ready to play. Those days are over. Those days are over. The days when players were afraid to tell their coaches how they feel, the days when players would mention that they're leaving, would never mention that they were leaving the school to go to another, those days are over. These days, these players, it's a business. It's a business. And the longer we're in the NIL days and the transfer portal days, the more savvy these student athletes will become. The more savvy they're going to become. So what do y'all think about the way that LSU got to the Final Four last year? You think it's a duplicatable model? You think more people are going to forget about scheduling these tough teams, getting their brains beaten out early in the season? Why would you do that when you can do what Kim Mulkey and LSU did? Play a relatively soft schedule. Don't break a nail. Head into the playoffs. Play in a competitive conference, because that's the key. You got to play in a competitive conference. You're not going to get any respect doing what I just said. Playing in a conference that's not very good. So you gotta get a mixture. Those of y'all listening to me, you coaches out there listening, wondering how you're going to plan it going forward. You got to play in a decent conference, or you got to balance that with playing some decent competition. But yeah, don't wear your players down. This is a real thing. What do y'all think about the model? Duplicatable? Replicatable? Is it a thing? Let me know what you think.
Thanks for tuning in to Women's Basketball TV with Fran Harris, the most provocative and entertaining women's basketball show on earth. Be sure to click that like, share, and notification button so you don't miss a moment. We'll see you tomorrow.